Thanks very much, Robin, and thanks very much to the Southwest Science and Industry Council and the Southwest Regional Development Agency for hosting this regional launch of our white paper, Innovation Nation. I've actually been passionate about innovation for more than 20 years, from the time when I was actually working in the West Midlands in venture capital and consultancy, and I was investing in innovative early-stage companies, mainly high-tech businesses. And 10 years ago, when I was a backbench Member of Parliament, I did some moonlighting. I spent some time visiting the west and east coast of the United States, looking at how businesses and universities were interacting there and comparing them with what we were doing here in the United Kingdom. And I have to say that 10 years ago, we were way off the pace when it comes to the best of the United States and their university business interactions. But I stand here today and I say to you that we shouldn't sell ourselves short. A great deal has happened over the last 10 years. We just published some figures recently which showed that university business with business totals something like £2.5 billion in the latest financial year. We've seen a threefold increase in the number of licensing agreements between our universities and businesses just in the last 5 years. And as a result of 10 years investment in our science base, where the budget's more than doubled and will have tripled by 2010-11, we have, on all measures, the most productive and efficient science and research base of any G8 country, and probably any country in the world today. And also, let's not forget that we're the sixth largest manufacturing nation in the world today. So we've got some really significant achievements. And I've seen this over 20 years, and over the last decade, I've really tracked what's been going on in the academic literature, in the business literature, and what's really been happening on the ground at the moment. And so when Gordon Brown asked me to do this job as Science and Innovation Minister, I was absolutely delighted. And I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to actually get away from sometimes the impression that we get that despite all the progress that has been made over the last 10 years, that we still see science and innovation as being in quite a narrow box. And we have this conception that innovation happens in a linear way. And it simply isn't the case, as I think you all know, that innovation is something done by generally men in white coats in research labs. And they move from research to discovery and invention to prototyping, to drug trials if you're in the pharmaceutical sector, along to sort of products and product launch and to profitability. And that sort of linear model of innovation, which might have served us well and other businesses and countries well over the last 20, 30 years, has just been fracturing and breaking up over the last decade and more. And increasingly, we're seeing lots of different types of innovations, and innovations occurring across all sectors of our economy and our society. And that's that broader picture of innovation that I was very keen to tell, that it is innovation right across our economy, right across our society, and it's lots and lots of different types of innovation. The innovation that comes from outside a company as well as within it, the innovation that comes from customers, that comes from suppliers, just as much as it might come to frontline staff, as well as people who are working in R&D labs. And that broader picture, and that story is what we tell in Innovation Nation. And we tell it because it's the right story to tell. But we also tell this story because we very strongly believe as a government that Britain needs to go on an innovation journey if we're going to have a successful economy and society over the next 20 or 30 years. We all know we're not going to compete with the Chinese and the Indians on the basis of low wages. We are going to compete by our ingenuity, by our ability to innovate, by our capacity to invest in new products and new processes and in new business models and new ways of working. And we're going to work in partnership with the Chinese and the Indians just as much as we're going to compete head-on with them as well, though we will do both. And increasingly, those dividing lines between competition and collaboration, between partnership and a partner and competitor, breaking down as well. In Innovation Nation, we set out a really bold ambition. We say we want the UK to be the best place in the world to run an innovative business, an innovative public service or third sector organisation. And when you look at some of the examples of what is happening in the business world today, you see Procter & Gamble, which is now spending less on R&D today than it was 5 years ago. But as a result of its Open Innovation Challenge, is now getting round about a third of its new ideas for products coming from outside its organisation. And that's produced literally billions of dollars of new revenue for it as a company. So R&D doesn't mean innovation. R&D is important to our future UK economy. And I'm the first person to want to defend investment in our science base and in research and development. But it isn't the only story when it comes to innovation. Innovation occurs in many different forms as well. If you talk to Sun Microsystems, who I met recently, they've coined this mantra, innovation happens elsewhere. And by that, they mean, well, they shouldn't get cocky as an organisation that they've got the monopoly of wisdom when it comes to developing new products and processes. The fact that innovation happens elsewhere helps them develop an outward-looking mindset where they're not just managing the own research that they do themselves, but they're managing a research area, scouting for talent right across the world when it comes to new ideas to make sure that they're cutting edge. If you take big companies like Toyota, they've done a tremendous amount of work with their supply chain when it comes to innovation, massively reducing the number of defects, increasing productivity and profitability. And you look at other companies as well, from small companies to some of the big companies that I've been talking to, and they're pursuing all those different models of innovation. Many of you might have seen the TV advert, which I call the sort of skateboard advert. It's actually an advert for Cisco Systems, and they call it the human network. But if you remember the advert, you'll see a skateboard being designed by the customers, the users. So in Venice Beach, in Los Angeles and in Australia, simultaneously, people are collaborating and developing a new design for a skateboard. And that user-driven innovation, as much as open innovation, is one of the ways in which new products are going to occur in the future. And of course, when it comes to users of innovation and customers, there's no bigger customer than government.